So the NFL Combine is going on right now, and it's a really exciting time because you get to see all the top college prospects in one location at the same time. They're doing all kinds of different things like 40-yard dashes and bench presses and even unique positional skills where they test you out by your position group. And then every team also, if they want to, they can get a 15-minute interview with a certain amount of players. So it's a really cool time. But another thing that comes about it is a bunch of rumors. Because you got to think, you have every single NFL head coach in one city, one location. You have every single general manager in the same spot. And then you also just have a bunch of front office guys. So, this really gives a lot of writers and analysts and stuff like that a lot to write about because they are just pulling rumors from all different areas. And a lot comes out of it. Now, one interesting nugget that came out this weekend is that the Jaguars are all but expected to sign Nick Foles this offseason. I mean, there's a report out there that they are already in contract negotiations with Nick Foles. And this really comes as no surprise to me. Really, once the Combine started and I heard like Doug Marrone talk to the press and Dave Caldwell talk to the press, I was pretty much ensured that the Jaguars were going to go out and get Nick Foles. I mean, just hear what Doug Marrone said.
The quarterback usually drives, the boat. And I think that the more experienced or the more knowledge your quarterback has in a perfect scenario for me, I like it where the quarterback knows more and everyone else has to catch up to the quarterback. I think that's what keeps people on their toes. If you're waiting for the quarterback to catch up to everyone else on offense, then you're not going to progress the way you want to.
One more time, Doug.
I like it where the quarterback knows more and everyone else has to catch up to the quarterback.
So it's clear that the Jaguars are in win-now mode just because, you look at it. The Jaguars just went 5-11 last year. If the Jaguars were to repeat that same record last year, you're going to have Doug Marrone fired, the GM Dave Caldwell fired, maybe not Tom Coughlin, but whatever. They're going to clean house. So they're in a situation where the urgency to win is like right away. So they're going to go out and get the best free agent quarterback out there. And that's going to be Nick Foles. Now, Nick Foles is a lot of familiarity with Nick Foles with, John DeFilippo. John DeFilippo was the quarterbacks coach of Nick Foles back in 2017 when they made their Super Bowl run. And when Carson Wentz first got injured, Nick Foles really did not do very well in the regular season for the Eagles. He was struggling a little bit, and Eagles fans and a lot of the national guys were basically picking them to lose every week. I shouldn't say Eagles fans were, but definitely nationally. They were getting picked to lose every week.
It is true. The Eagles are the underdogs, the number 1 seed to play the 6th seed at home. They're the underdogs. It's unbelievable.
Just because of how kind of bad Nick Foles looked.
This is going to come down to, can Nick Foles play decent? He doesn't have to be great or spectacular, but he has to be decent. He has to be a lot better than he was the last few weeks, because the last few weeks he stinks.
Doug Peterson's a really good head coach, and he took really the bye week that the Eagles earned from having a good record and really went back to the tape of Nick Foles back when he was with Chip Kelly and said, okay, what did Nick Foles do good? How can we build and really our offense around him to be able to succeed? And one person that was in all those meetings was John DeFilippo. He was there every time, so he knows, they were in the meeting rooms and they disguised an offense to really fit Nick Foles. And really the Jaguar situation right now, we have a defense that's ready to win. Our offense is just kind of lagging behind, and that's really the first step, is really actually getting a quarterback. So, one reason with the Jaguars is that's pretty good is that there might not be much of a market for Nick Foles out there. You saw in 2018, a lot of teams kind of shored up their quarterback needs. You saw 5 quarterbacks go in the first round. You also saw, Kirk Cousins get signed to big money with the Vikings. The Redskins went out and bought Alex Smith for a lot of money. And, the market, when you look at it, really the two teams that seem to be, could potentially be in the race for a guy like Nick Foles would be the Dolphins and the Redskins. Now, the Dolphins, by all accounts, they're kind of wanting to tank this year because they think that next year's quarterback group is really good. So, they might not be willing to sign to really outbid the Jaguars for a guy like Nick Foles. And there's also the Redskins. The Redskins, the only thing about them is they went and signed Alex Smith on a 4-year, $94 million deal last season. So that's a heck of a lot of money. There's $40 million of dead cap if they were to cut Alex Smith. So I don't see I don't see Nick Foles going there. And then, one thing that circulated this weekend at the Combine is that, Josh Rosen and Derek Carr could potentially be shopped. So, I could see the Redskins being a team. They're drafting right at number 15. They're way too deep in the draft to be able to get a guy like Dwayne Haskins or Kyler Murray. But they could be a team that says, hey, let's trade our number 15 pick to the Cardinals. That way the Cardinals can go out and get Kyler Murray, and then they also have the number 15 spot. So, the Redskins are not in a position to sign a quarterback for a lot of money, and they're also not in a position to really sign or to really draft a top-notch quarterback this season. So that could be a good kind of trade market for them. And then, you look at some of the other teams that I don't think, like, they could be getting a quarterback, but they look like more of teams that could draft a quarterback rather than sign a quarterback to a lot of money. It could be like the Patriots, the Bengals, Broncos, the Raiders, like the Giants, the Buccaneers, and the Cardinals. Like, all those teams, I don't think are really in the free agency quarterback market, but it could very much be in the draft quarterback market. So really the Jaguars, really with the Broncos trading for Joe Flacco, I think a lot of the whole franchise tag and trade deal kind of went out the window for the Eagles, just because really the only suitor is Jacksonville, and apparently the Jaguars were not going to be willing to really make a trade, for Nick Foles on that franchise tag for them. So really the Jaguars might be in a bidding race all by themselves. Now you do got to say that, hey, there may not be 5 teams that are after Nick Foles, but even if there are 2, it could drive the value up a lot. All it takes is 2 to tango, and then if 2 teams really want him, that's going to be the price for Nick Foles is going to skyrocket. But, it'll be interesting to kind of see what kind of deal that Nick Foles gets. Now, I'm thinking that the Jaguars might sign him to a 5-year, $18 million deal, because they're either going to be wagering the franchise for him, or they're going to be kind of renting him. If they sign to I think Nick Foles wants a more permanent home, so he could be willing to take a 5-year, $18 million deal. But if the Jaguars are only willing to sign him for three years, and I think that the guaranteed money and the salary for Nick Foles is going to go up a lot. So, if they were to sign him for 3 years, I think he'd be making, $20+ million a year and just a lot more guaranteed money. So I think the Jaguars are probably going to sign him for a 5-year deal. And then with that, it kind of begs the question that, will the Jaguars be drafting a quarterback at number 7? I think if Dwayne Haskins or Kyler Murray falls to number 7, I think that the Jaguars could make the investment and then go ahead and draft those guys right there. However, if I think after this weekend, I really think that Kyler Murray and Dwayne Haskins is going to go in the top 5. I think there's going to be teams that are probably might trade up in the top 5 to get them, or maybe the Oakland Raiders or the Cardinals are interested in those guys and they might draft them. That's kind of how I feel. And then I don't think that the Jaguars are going to want to really trade up for a rookie quarterback, just because of the urgency to win. Like I said, all these guys' jobs are on the line. So, I think that they're most likely going to stick at number 7. Those guys might be gone, and then at that point, they're going to be taking best available player. And really, if you look at it, I could understand maybe not drafting a quarterback this year, just because I do like Nick Foles. I actually really do like Nick Foles. He was a guy, when the playoffs started in 2019, that was or 2018, the Eagles were actually the team that I was kind of bandwagon for and rooting for this, because I love the underdog story. I love the Nick Foles story about him coming in and really just overtaking the franchise and leading this team to the Super Bowl. I just thought it was incredible, and just Nick Foles has an incredible story, so I like him a lot. But, hear me out on this situation. If the Jaguars were to just go maybe best available offensive player, what if the Jaguars were to go out and maybe draft a TJ Hockenson at number 7? He's a tight end out of Iowa. The guy is incredible in the pass game, and most importantly, he's also really good in the run game. Really, and a lot of people will look at it and say, okay, tight ends, they're not worth the number 7 pick. I call bullshit on that, because you look over at the Chiefs. If you were to take Travis Kelce out of their offense, they're a completely different team. Look at the Patriots. If you take Rob Gronkowski out of the team, they're a completely different team. Eagles, if you take Zach Ertz out of the team, they're a completely different team. And I think just the importance of tight ends are going up every year, and just being able to have a versatile guy that can both run block extremely well and in the passing game catch very well, I think that is so dangerous, and it's something that the Jaguars have never had. And that is the ultimate X factor. And especially when the offensive line play is kind of going down every year, you can have a guy that goes in there at tight end and is able to just help out the tackles in the run game, and especially with the Jaguars with our run game. We want to have a good run game. So I would be all for maybe drafting a TJ Hockenson like at number 7. I mean, you also have guys like, DK Metcalf from Ole Miss, that wide receiver that you could get there, maybe an AJ Brown. There is some talk about maybe getting like an offensive tackle there, like Jonah Williams out of Alabama, Cody Ford out of like Oklahoma, then Jawan Taylor out of Florida. My problem with drafting a tackle is that if I draft a tackle, I want them to be great. And my problem with the tackles right now is that all the experts are kind of like all mixing and matching like who's the top player out of all those guys. I don't want that. I would rather, if I were to draft a tackle, I'd rather get like a Quentin Nelson situation where everybody is touting that guy as number 1 guy, as a can't miss kind of offensive guard, offensive lineman, and they go that route. But it's too sketchy for me to get an offensive lineman, especially with the Jaguar situation right now. Well, we just need a skill player. We need a guy to threaten the pass game, and we just, we don't have that. We need a skill player, and then we're going to start building around Nick Foles, and TJ Hockenson would be a good pick. And could you imagine in the second round if the Jags were to get a guy like maybe Deebo Samuel, wide receiver out of South Carolina? He's not the tallest guy at 5'11", but he is extremely thick. And, if the Jaguars were to sign Nick Foles, get TJ Hockenson a tight end in the first round, and wide receiver Deebo Samuel in the second round, dude, our offense just got a whole lot better. Deebo Samuel, I think, is a guy that could be a number 1 wide receiver. And, I think if we were to get that number 1 wide receiver threat, then all of a sudden, like D.D. Westbrook plays a whole lot better, in the slot. Maybe even like DJ Chark plays better. But man, like if we were to come away like that, I think we could be a huge threat next year. And as much as it would stink to, as much as we talk about drafting a quarterback, this whole entire offseason, I don't think that the Jaguars will be willing to really, with the urgency to win now, I don't know if they're going to be willing to really risk this year to trade draft assets up that year and really wait for the quarterback to get good, because they could very well be fired next year. And then all of a sudden, all that work was for nothing. And if we don't trade up, if we get Nick Foles and we start going, best available player every round, then all of a sudden, you have a number 7 pick. You can get a stud there. You got a pick at the top of the second round. You have 2 third-round picks. So you're in business. You're in business to make your offense a whole lot better. And, just your team a lot better, because we have a defense in place that is ready to win. And really just the situation could be a lot better. So it'll be really interesting to see. I think March 13th is when the news would come out about what the contract looks like for Nick Foles. I'm willing to bet that they were probably signing him to a 5-year deal. If they do, I think they're basically saying, okay, we're marrying this guy. He's going to be our guy, and he's going to let him prove us wrong and make him do bad enough to where we decide that we need to draft the quarterback later on. So, if Dwayne Haskins or Kyler Murray were to fall to number 7, I could see them taking him, but I just don't see them using the draft capital to trade up to get him. So that's just my opinion. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. And it could be very exciting. So we'll see. Now, this is UC at Jaguar, whichinjai.com, and I'm out.